I think that Jailton Almeida is going to take Curtis Blaydes to grappling school, and I am picking him to finish Plotty Man himself inside of 2 rounds. Actually, more like the first round. All right, that's my early pick. The reason being, because I understand what you're thinking. This is crazy. How on earth could you pick against Plotty Man Blaydes? He's so highly skilled. Did you see what he did to Jairzinho Rozenstruik? He barely scraped by him. Did you see what he did to Derek Lewis? He beat him up in the first round and then got KO'd. This is the thing about Plotty Man Blaydes. He always freezes up. All right? It's a mental thing. It's his confidence. And I think that no matter who he's standing across from in the upper echelon of the heavyweight division, he's always in some way going to have a moment where he just kind of freezes up and overthinks. That's his demise. That's what it's always been. And I think that Jailton Almeida, despite the fact that we've never seen this man throw anything on the feet other than a front kick to the body before shooting a takedown, I think he's going to surprise us. Now, I will say this. I am going to do a deep dive on Jailton Almeida, and I will look into his striking, because if I find out that this guy can't strike for shit and he's the most unathletic man that I've ever seen on the feet, then I'll change my pick. But right now, this is what I do think. The guy is built like a sauced Yoel Romero. Even if Yoel was on the sauce, he's built like he's a lab mutant version of Yoel. I bet that he's got some sting in his hands. You know what I mean? I bet the guy's got some power. And I also think he probably has some quick twitch muscle fiber speed on the feet. I could see him being fast. And I know that I said he's only thrown that one strike, that front kick up the middle into a takedown. But I actually think I remember seeing him throw like a big jumping knee into a hook, and it looked pretty quick to me. He looks pretty explosive. And I think that Jailton Almeida probably has a couple of tools on the feet that he's been training in the offseason that he hasn't really needed to show in a fight. Again, we're talking about a guy that's moved up from the light heavyweight division into the heavyweight division. He already has a speed advantage. He already has a skill advantage when it comes to the grappling. I think he has it within himself to fire off a right hand right down the pipe and, take Curtis Blaydes by surprise with his light heavyweight speed. And I understand that Curtis Blaydes is probably a better striker on paper, but Curtis Blaydes should have gone out there on paper and beaten Pavlovich. But look at what happened. He shit his pants. And I don't think he's going to shit his pants for the same reason, because Jailton Almeida is not a guy that's shown to offer any crazy KO power. But I think that in this case, Curtis Blaydes is going to be preparing for a guy that is like Khamzat Chimaev-esque, that has ragdolled everyone, taken down everyone, and not had any issues whatsoever when it comes to people offering defense. Like, he's ran through them all, submitted them all in the first round, finished everyone with ease. And I think that Curtis Blaydes knows this, and he's going to be doing everything in his power to get ready for the grappling, to learn how to stuff takedowns. I mean, he already has, an NCAA wrestling background, so he knows how to stuff takedowns. He's a pretty good wrestler, as we've all seen, but I think that's going to get in his head, and he's going to be in the middle of the octagon, just waiting for Jailton Almeida to start spamming takedowns. That's when Jailton Almeida surprises us with that striking that he's probably been hiding for a few years now. And I think he's going to blast Curtis Blaydes with a right hand down the middle. I know this is such a crazy pick because we've literally never seen that, or I've never seen it, but I bet he has it within himself. And just look at him, dude. He's probably freakishly fast. I think he's going to crack Curtis Blaydes, old Plotty Man Blaydes, who's going to be stuck in the mud. He's going to take him by surprise. Curtis is coming off of another KO loss, so I don't think his chin's going to be ever better than it was before. And I think then Jailton's going to catch him with a jab, a stinging jab like the ones that Pavlovich was catching him with. Then he's going to level change. Then he's going to put Curtis Blaydes on his back. And Curtis Blaydes is probably like a big fat turtle on his back. You know what I mean? Like one of those 120-year-old tortoises that you've seen, huge. That's probably Curtis Blaydes on his back. He probably won't have a lot to offer. And I understand that he has a significant size advantage, but on the ground, when you're on your back and you're a big heavyweight, that almost works against you. And it's not like Jailton Almeida's little pipsqueak down there. The guy's a freak of nature, and he probably has a little bit better skill on the ground when it comes to his submissions and his offense. I mean, just look at what this man just did to Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I mean, Jairzinho looked like he had never grappled a day in his life. Jairzinho Rozenstruik made it so that Curtis Blaydes couldn't tee off a lot of offense on him when he was taken down. So I think that all that wrestling is going to go out the window, because let's be honest, heavyweight wrestlers in the college divisions, they probably rely on their strength and their explosiveness a little bit more than the other guys, the lighter guys. They probably aren't, rocking as much finesse. And I think that Jailton Almeida has that finesse. And I don't think Curtis has it. And although it's going to be difficult for Jailton to take Curtis down, because I think Curtis Blaydes could stuff a takedown if Pavlovich did, again, it's like on paper he should win this matchup, but I think he's going to once again overthink a little bit in the octagon. And we're going to see Jailton Almeida put him on his back after rocking him with like a right hand. And it's just going to be a workshop, a grappling workshop. He's going to take him to school. He's going to show him the levels. And Curtis Blaydes, I think, could get choked out in the first round. And that's actually going to be my early pick. I think that Jailton's going to go out there and choke him out. And another thing that I've noticed is I think Jailton Almeida weighed in at a heavier weight than he'd ever weighed in at before. I know he fought a lot of catchweight bouts, but he's had, I think his last fight against Rosenstrike was his third heavyweight fight, maybe only his second in the UFC. But he came in the high 230s. And I know there was a huge weight discrepancy, but we know Jairzinho Rosenstrike is a big guy too. I don't think it'll matter that much. And sure, maybe he'll put on another 5 pounds, something like that, but I think he'll be just fine. Now, of course, we could see Curtis Blaydes go out there and demolish Jailton Almeida after stuffing a takedown. But, I mean, he looked good against Pavlovich. I mean, he was hurting Pavlovich early on. He was landing, and he was landing a lot of good shots. But once again, I mean, that's like saying, look at what Conor did to Dustin Poirier in the trilogy. He was landing amazing shots for 40 seconds. Well, then what happened? Then he got fucked up. Then he got dropped. Then he got dropped again. So I think in this situation, we might see Jailton Almeida rise to the occasion in front of his home countrymen in Brazil. And we might see Curtis Blaydes fumble the bag. And let's be honest, Curtis Blaydes doesn't have the best fight IQ. And I think that Jailton Almeida is the kind of guy, I mean, just look at him. He's hungry as it gets. You know what I mean? He's probably one of the hungriest men in the UFC. He's from the favelas of Brazil. He doesn't have a big following. He's still not a big name, despite all of his amazing victories. He probably doesn't have all that much money. And I know that Curtis Blaydes is hungry too, but Jailton's never really tasted defeat like that. You know what I mean? So he has this aura of invincibility. And I think at the end of the day, it just boils down to, I believe that he'll be able to impose his will. And that's where Curtis has failed. I think Curtis Blaydes could have had the potential to go out there and destroy a guy like Jairzinho Rosenstrike in the first round and just demolish him. But he second guesses himself. Some guys don't show up. And I think that Jailton Almeida, being an undefeated fighter, is without a doubt going to show up and going to fight like he's invincible. And again, there's a size discrepancy, but it's not like Jailton Almeida is some little twig. It's not like he's a Stipe Miocic either. No, this guy is juiced. You know what I mean? He's sauced up. And he's a massive person without that fat. And at the end of the day, it's like, I don't think he's a depleted, shredded guy either, if you know what I'm trying to get at. He's not depleted. I'm going with Jailton Almeida. Let me know who you guys are picking in the comments. Until next time.